and the questions they need to answer. And so this is really important for certain types of meetings, especially like a problem solving meeting, or a meeting that we are trying to make a new idea, like a brainstorming event. You want people to know the types of things they should be thinking about. And I will say that some people in their homework did a very good job of this. And actually, most everyone listed what you were going to talk about in the meeting, but there were a couple of people who actually put those in questions. And it's not a requirement, but it is just something that you can do to really help have a more effective meeting. The second thing is to put your most important item first. So that was another tip that the article gave. And the reason we do that is because studies and statistics have shown that people, when they're in a meeting, are usually very attentive at the beginning of the meeting. And as the meeting goes on, people drift off a little bit, or people get distracted, or maybe people even start to think about what has been said in the meeting. So they're no longer fully engaged in what the speaker is currently saying. They may be thinking about what was said previous. So putting those most important items first is always a good idea. And also that helps with your timing, because if for some reason your meeting is running too long, you know that you got the most important things out of the way at the very beginning. So if you don't get to your full agenda, that will help. And then lastly, just making sure to execute on that agenda. You make the effort to put an agenda together. So just making sure that you actually try to stick to it. And we're going to talk a lot today about that, about language that we can use and things we can say to either move a meeting along, or to get more information possibly. So let's say you do present one of those questions, but no one is really saying anything. Or you need clarification on something someone said. We'll talk about that today in language that we can use to do that. Does anyone have any questions about the agenda and just what we use it for and why it's important, or any of the strategies mentioned before we move on? Okay, good. So let's move on then. So the first thing I want to do is a listening exercise. So today we'll have two, but it's really two for the price of one, because it's only one audio file, but we're going to listen to it for different things. And so this first time, I want you all to, so this listening audio, the audio file is it's about a managers from a manufacturing company who are planning to move their factory to Vietnam. And during the meeting, they plan to discuss these potential locations. So just thinking about that, what type of meeting is this? What type of meeting? Claire, what do you think? What type of meeting, just from those first couple of sentences of what they're going to do, what type of meeting is this?
I think it's maybe like brainstorming and then decision making.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, definitely decision making, and also brainstorming too, because I think that you'll hear in the audio that they bring up some a new location to the table. And so that might be brainstorming different places where they could have the office, but also decision making definitely, because it looks like the company has decided to relocate to Vietnam, but now they're trying to decide where. So really a decision making meeting. And so just before we listen, what are some things that you would expect to happen in a decision making meeting? Like how would you expect this meeting to go? Because we're thinking about our different types of meetings, what would you expect to happen in this meeting? Fortuna, what do you think? What would you expect?
I expect that there might be some people say talk about the advantages about a new location or the disadvantage about a new location. So they will have not arguing. They will have a further discussion about which way is better, which
Mhm.
location is better for the manufacturing factory.
Yeah, the manufacturing company. Yeah, so their factory. And so you're right. So that's good. They're going to have a discussion or a conversation. So you would expect a lot of audience participation. So in
Yes.
this meeting, you wouldn't think that the speaker would just talk the entire meeting. They're going to want feedback, they're going to want ideas, they're going to want people to contribute to the meeting.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so thinking about to our last class, would you say it would be better in this meeting to ask for feedback throughout the meeting or have people wait for to hold their feedback until the end of the meeting? Which would be better?
Hmm. I think maybe the feedback can be shown at the end of the meeting. I think that will be better because we have more time to take everything into consideration, and people can have a better idea about their decision.
Oh, okay, okay. So I like your the reasoning behind your answer. So I was thinking that maybe it would be better to encourage feedback throughout the meeting, just so that you could maybe present an option and then see what people think, have a discussion about why that option is good or bad, and then move on to the next option and have that same discussion and maybe compare the two options against each other to see which one is better or worse. And so I think that your reasoning, you made a good point that if we it depends on though our agenda, right? Our
Mm,
agenda. So if you planned on in your meeting saying, I would like to first discuss moving our factory to Vietnam. We
mm,
have three choices: Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, and Da Nang. I want to talk. I'm going to give you some details about each one, and then I want to hear what you think. That might be more appropriate for them to not interrupt while you're speaking and to hold all of that feedback for the end. So it just is, so that's a good point. And so you weren't wrong, Fortuna. Just it just depends on how you set up your meeting. But I was thinking just more collaborative environment when we think about a decision making meeting. We want people to give their ideas. So okay, let's discuss. Now first, I want everyone before I play the audio, I posted in the chat a link to a jam board. It should say listening exercise number one or listening activity number one jam board. If everyone could try to, oh yes, listening exercise number one, pros and cons. If everyone could just open that jam board to be ready, and then I will play the audio. So give me 1 second. Hmm. Okay. Yay. Okay, I see everyone is in the Jamboard. So what I want you to do is you're going to hear about these three cities. We have, well, let me just share my screen. I apologize. I wanted to share a different screen. Here we go. Okay, so this is a view of our Jamboard. And so under each, we have a text box that all of you should be able to enter into the text box and then hit enter or write some things in the text box. So I would like everyone, as you hear them talk about different cities, try to keep track or write down some things that you hear, either positive or negative, some of the pros and the cons to each of these locations. They only talk about one or two per location, and the audio is not very long. But just as a listening exercise, let's see if we can pick out any of the good or bad things that are mentioned about these three cities. So we have Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, and Da Nang. Okay. And I will play the audio file now.
Right. If everyone is ready, we can start. First, I'd like to thank you all for coming on such short notice. Does everyone know Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee is our representative in Southeast Asia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've been looking forward to this meeting.
Very good. As you all know, we are here today to discuss the proposed investment project in Vietnam. You can see from the agenda the different issues that we need to look at. So let's move on to the first item, location. Adam, would you like to get us started?
Well, at the moment, there are two sites worth looking at. The Amata Industrial Park, located nearby Ho Chi Minh City in the south of the country, and one site located in the area surrounding the capital Hanoi in the north. The main advantages of the first option are better, more developed infrastructure and lower land rent.
What's your view on that, Anne?
I agree that the higher level of infrastructure in the South must be taken into account, which is why most foreign companies have decided to invest there. However, I think the North also has potential.
Can you be a little more specific?
Well, the cost of labor is lower there, and workers in the north of the country are regarded as more motivated and hardworking than in the South.
Does everyone agree with Anne's point of view?
I definitely think we should consider alternatives to the south.
What other options can we look at?
There is also the industrial zone surrounding Da Nang, Vietnam's third largest city in the center of the country. This location offers several advantages. It has a modern airport, a port facility, as well as cheaper and more available labor than in the south. The city Da Nang is also located at the eastern end of a planned infrastructure project that will link Vietnam with its neighboring countries in order to open up investment channels.
Interesting. What does the city itself offer to our management team who are going to live out there?
Well, the city seems to have great potential there. It is extremely clean and has some excellent beaches and pleasant riverside areas. It is also surrounded by historical sites and national parks. What's more, it is still free from all the commercialization and crowds of tourists in the south.
What's your reaction to that, Adam?
It is definitely worth investigating. This site might well offer us the right balance of good infrastructure and cheaper cost of labor.
Yes, I agree.
Right. Just to summarize the discussion so far, we all agree that Da Nang is worth serious consideration as a potential site. Let's come back to this issue later because I want to move on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay. Now, let's see. Was everyone able? I think what might work better for this Jamboard is if you use the sticky note function. So it's right under the arrow. And if you click a sticky note, you can write your name and then write what you want to say. So you can say maybe one of the advantages to Da Nang was, we'll say it said that they were near, they had clean, it was clean and a good river. Okay, so if I save that, it'll throw a sticky note, and then I can move that sticky note under Da Nang. So how about everyone try to write a sticky note and just maybe put an option or two of some pros or cons that you heard about the different cities.
Excuse me, Quentin.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I have no Jumbo, so can I type the words on the chat?
Oh, let's see. Yes, do that. Just type them in the chat, and then now if you don't have access to the Jamboard, it's up attached to the chat. So hopefully that link will get you in, but it doesn't look like everyone is able to actually edit this. So let's just talk about it instead. We'll go to a Plan B option. So how about we will start with, let me just make this a little bit bigger so I can see you all better. Okay, Samantha, What is maybe a pro or a con that you heard about one of these cities?
Which city? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can
Yes,
pick
thank
any
you.
city. So either Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, or Da Nang.
Oh, actually, I'm a little confused. Maybe Ho Chi Minh is the main capital. Lots of infrastructure there, so company can invest there. Is
Yeah, so you heard the infrastructure part correctly. Good. So Ho Chi Minh City, that was one of the biggest advantages. They said that the infrastructure was very good there. Now the main capital of the city was actually Hanoi, or of the country was actually Hanoi. That was the next city that they spoke about. But you heard the infrastructure part, so good job there. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh, Vicky, did you get a chance to hear the audio when it was playing? I didn't see when you joined the meeting.
I heard someone called Anne. She says that the North City is more potential here.
Okay, yeah, more potential in the northern city, and that would
Yeah.
be Hanoi. So she was talking about, so she gave a couple of advantages to why she felt that way, and then said that there were more opportunities. Did anyone catch anything that was said about Hanoi? Mhm. Okay. So Hanoi, they just said there was a lower cost of living in Hanoi. So that was a positive. And then also, or I'm sorry, cost of labor, not living, a lower cost of labor. And so cost of labor is a term or phrase that we use just to mean how much that we have to pay people to do a job. So for Ho Chi Minh City, that cost may be higher because the cost of living is higher. So therefore you have to pay people more versus Hanoi, where it might be a little lower cost of living. So therefore, people are able to be paid less, or as a company, you can pay people less. And that the people were more motivated. That was another thing that was said for an advantage of Hanoi. And now, did anyone catch anything about Da Nang? How about Clara Fortuna? Did you hear anything about Da Nang?
I am not sure. Am I right? I just heard the phrase national parks.
Yeah, yeah. So they have a lot of parks. They said it was very clean. So that is right. Yeah, they did say that about Da Nang. Yeah.
National. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Did you catch anything else, Claire?
I think I hear there are a lot of cheap labor, and it has a good industry channel, and they are really clean there, and a lot of beaches there.
Yeah. Yeah, you caught a lot. Yeah, you caught a lot of that, Claire. Good job. So yes, they said that they were near the thing that you mentioned that they were close to. They were talking about a transit project or a connection to other places. So they were saying that if we build the factory in Hanoi, we will have access to all of these other places because they're at the eastern end of one of a major transportation channel. So, very good. Okay, this won't be the first time you hear this tonight because next I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. So, let's go back to our presentation. I will stop. Okay, back to the presentation. So, we discussed those three places, and now, next I want to go on to what your duties as the facilitator are of the meeting. So we've talked about one thing that you'll need to do is open your meeting. Then we built an agenda. So now we'll go through just a few different duties that you as the leader of a meeting are going to need to do throughout your meeting. And these are the things that really keep your meeting on track. So by on track, I mean, it's flowing, that we're getting through the agenda, we're moving the meeting along, and we're accomplishing what the goals of our meeting were. So that's keeping your meeting on track. You're getting through the necessary points of your meeting to accomplish your agenda objective. So first, we're, of course, welcoming and thanking the participants for coming. Introducing any new participants. So these are two things we talked about during our opening of the meeting. And then also stating the objective and the purpose. So we talked about a lot of these in our opening, because these are all things that we're going to do at the very beginning. So we've covered those. These next few bullets are what are the key to running and keeping your meeting on track. So inviting and asking for opinions. This is something that we heard happen a lot in the audio file. The facilitator of the meeting was asking different people what their opinions were, and also asking if they agreed, which we'll see down below is our checking for agreement. And so the leader of this meeting did a very good job of continually asking, what does everyone else think? Do you agree with what was said? Do you agree that we should consider Hanoi? Do you agree that we should consider Da Nang as an option? So he was checking for agreement there. Asking for clarification or explanation. So you've elicited or you've asked someone for their opinion, but what if it's not clear? What if you don't fully understand what someone is saying? So we'll need to ask for clarification. Also, sometimes widening the discussion. So maybe our focus is too narrow. Maybe what we've asked people to think about is not quite getting to the heart of what we need to do in this meeting. And so we want to expand and widen people's scope and people's thoughts on the subject. So that's something else as a facilitator you should do as well. And then, of course, summarizing the meeting. And this is something that we'll do during our closing or at the end. You'll hear in the video in the audio file at the end, before moving on to the next topic, they kind of gives a summary. The leader of the meeting or the facilitator gives a summary, basically saying, so we're all in agreement that we should consider Da Nang. I want to now move on to the next topic. So these 9 things are quick bullet points, and so everyone can see them a little better, are quick bullet points as to the different things and responsibilities that you as a facilitator will be handling. Now, the most important part is, what language do we use to do these things? Now that we know that these are our responsibilities, what do we do? How do we tell someone that, or how do we invite someone to give their opinion? How do we ask for clarification? What wording do we use to summarize all of the points? So let's look at some of those examples. And we will do that in exercise number 2. So if you scroll up in the chat, I sent a link to listening exercise number 2, and it is a worksheet, or it's a Word document. It's going to function as a worksheet. But if you could just open that, what I want everyone to do are 3 things. Once you open the link, please make a copy of it. So the link that I provided is a view only link. So you will need to make a copy of what I sent. So let me, just a quick show of hands, just raise your hand. Does everyone know how to make a copy in Google Docs? If not, what I can do is, just as we're continuing to talk, I will share my screen and just kind of show you really quick how to do that. So if I change to a different screen here. Okay. All right. So if we go to listening exercise number 2, this is what it will look like when you first access the link. If you go to File and then make a copy. Once you do this, you don't have to name it something different. You can leave it there. It may put it in the same folder. You don't have to change this. And then just click OK. And what that's going to do is that's going to make sure that you only work on your copy. So after you make the copy, only work on your copy. Don't work on the original. It won't allow you to really do a lot here anyways, because it's a view-only file. Does that make sense for everyone to make a copy? Okay, good. So make that copy. And so then next, we're going to complete these 2 activities, okay? So what I would like everyone to do is everyone mute yourselves, which you're all muted. And in the file, I have provided the link to the audio. So here where it says listen to the audio, that is a link that you can click to listen to the same audio we just listened to. So once you click that, I want you to, that's bullet number 2, but first, go through these phrases. These phrases are all phrases that are used in meetings to do one of these 9 things. So those things that we just talked about things that everyone should do during a meeting, or every facilitator should do during a meeting, or things that are your responsibility. These phrases will all go into one of these categories. So here you see an example. I said checking agreement or checking for agreement. I put a number 1 here. That's because if you look at phrase number 1, are you all in agreement? That shows that is a phrase that we could use to check for agreement, checking for agreement. So you could just put number 1 here. Okay? So now, for the second bullet, some of these phrases are used in the audio file. So I want you to listen to the audio file again. I want you to listen to the audio file again and pick out any of these phrases that you hear. And it's very easy. If once you make a copy, if you just click the box, it'll cross it out. And so you know that you've heard that phrase. So this is a good thing to have open while you listen to the audio and just check off phrases that you hear. Okay? Any questions from anyone of how to do this sheet?
Quentin, sorry about that. I didn't know where to get the link for listening exercise. I check in my Google Classroom.
Oh, yes. If you in the actual Google document where it says the second bullet, listen to the audio should be a link. If you click that, it should take you to a link to open the audio track. Does everyone see that on their copy? And if not, here's another thing I can do for you. I'll send this through one more time because I think this will also just take you directly there. That might be a little easier. Okay. See if this works, Fortuna. Oh. Okay. So there is the link again. Okay.
Oh, I know the link of the listening exercise, but I don't see the link for the document. So I don't know where to copy.
I am so sorry about that. Let me go ahead and send that as well. I can go ahead and share that with you. I tried to provide it in the chat, but I may not have. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and just do that now. Okay. So So here is the link to that document. And then make sure, Fortuna, once you open it, make sure that you make a copy for yourself, because this will be the copy that everyone has. And then just make sure that you do your work on your own copy once you open it.
Excuse me, Quentin.
Mhm.
I can link the copy, but I can copy the file. You say
Okay.
that
Oh, okay. Let me see if I'll make a copy for you. So, file and then make a copy. Did you try to do this? File, make a copy?
yes, but
Oh,
it seems the button cannot press it.
okay. Well, while I will do this then, let me just, I'll call yours a copy of your own, so I'll know. Okay. We will get around this. Mm-mm. Sorry, it's just taking a little while to load on my end. My apologies, Fortuna.
It's okay. I have made a copy
Oh,
already.
okay, so
So
you made it. Okay.
Quentin,
Yes.
I'm Vicky. I can't do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I kept okay. I am so I think I was oh no. Vicky can't do it. Wait. Okay. Someone, Vicky, let me just make sure. Vicky, you are unable to make
Yes,
a copy.
yes.
Okay. I've called this Fortuna. Let me see if I can I'll rename this with your name then. I'm so sorry, Vicky. I've been calling you Fortuna this whole time during this
It's
piece.
It's
okay.
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 I
For-
apologize. Oh,
Fortuna's daughter is Vicky too.
oh goodness. Okay. Okay, let me change this and then I will. Okay. Mm-mm. Okay, Vicky, I just sent a link directly to your copy um, in the chat.
So
Yay!
I directly check. I directly use the file, right?
Yes, so on
Okay.
this one, the one that says Vicky listening, that one is yours. So you can mark it, you can add the numbers to the chart below. That one's just yours.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for bearing with me. I apologize. Uh, And I'll say, I'll give everyone, let's do, in about 10 minutes, our class will be over. So I'll say about 6 minutes, and then let's reconvene shortly just to discuss a little bit of it. And then, since each of you have your own copy, you can send those to me. I'll include my email address, or I think I'll have access to them anyway, since they should be in the folder. But either way, I'll look at your work after the class. So this is something that if you don't fully finish, please go ahead and finish, and I'll check it with your homework for this week. And for the observers, while they are working over these next few minutes, I know that many of you were probably in last night's class, but I just wanted to go ahead and make sure that I gave the information again. So My Culture Connect is sponsoring a couple of webinars, and one is going to focus or be a little bit more like a office hours. If you ever had a teacher with office hours in school, that will be more like that. And so I'm hoping that that can be a time where observers can come to the office hours, ask any questions. We'll spend time discussing just teaching styles, lesson planning, anything that maybe some of you may have trouble with or difficulty with, and you want to ask for tips or advice on how you can handle different situations, this will be a great time to do that. It'll be a very open environment. You'll be able to ask any questions that you may have, even questions if asking questions about how to get more into this after you finish your practicum, and so forth. So the first one will be this upcoming Thursday, and that one will be at 6:30 Central Time, so 7:30 Eastern for that one. And then there will be a schedule on the observation link schedule that all of you have access to. The link to the office hours will be on there. And so we'll be holding a couple of those a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so I would love to see anyone who has questions and would like to join. Feel free to stop in and come there. And so if none of you have questions during the time, we can talk about just various different aspects of teaching, online teaching, teaching in person, strategies and difficulties that we all may have. So that's that one. The webinar, which will be a little bit different and starting in August, so this is a separate thing, will be specifically for strategies and to discuss working and teaching on some of the major online platforms for teaching. And so I know that many people, especially since we're still sort of, in this space of dealing with a little bit of the effects of the pandemic, and schools are open or closed, I know a lot of people are considering working online. And so this will be a webinar style format that will go through some of the pros and cons, the differences between some of the major companies that I have experience with, and then we'll also have a Q&A session at the end where you can ask any questions that you may have regarding teaching for some of the major online companies. So that will be more of a specific webinar, informational with a Q&A, and those will be on Sundays starting in August. And the office hours will be more just generalized teaching, lesson planning, any difficulties that you may have to talk through. Right? And for the observers, if anyone has any questions about either of those two, the office hours or the online companies teaching webinar, feel free to reach out to me on Skype and I will answer those. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to our students. So, how was that, or how is it going? Some of you may not be finished, and that is okay. I didn't give you the full amount of time that I was expecting to give you. How did that go? Let's look at, I'm going to share my screen again, and let's look at some of the work that you all did. Okay. So, first off, let's just check where some of these phrases would go. So, how about who would like to start us off with the we'll say the first two or three. We already did number one. So how about Claire? Where did you have a spot where you put numbers 2, 3, and 4? So let's start with number 2. Where did you classify that?
Number 2, I put it in like stating the objective and purpose.
Yes, good. That's correct. Yeah. So we are here today to discuss. That is our objective and purpose. Good. All right. Number 3.
I put number 3 in asking for a clarification or explanation.
Good. So can you be a little more specific? Yes. So that is drilling down into a detail. So we're going to asking for clarification. All right, one more. Number 4.
Number 4, I put in a checking agreement.
All right. Does everyone agree with someone's point of view or whoever's point of view? Yeah. Checking for agreement. That's a good one. Okay. So good. 3 for 3 so far. Great job, Claire. All right. Let's see. Samantha. Could you take us through maybe 5, 6, 7? Where did you put those? Well, we'll start with 5.
Teacher, I need time because actually I haven't done this.
Oh, that
I
is
say
okay.
7 because I send a invite to you. You need to how to say, I cannot copy the file. Maybe I will do this after the class.
Oh, okay,
Maybe
okay.
you need
So
to invite me.
maybe that's so, and that's one thing, and I appreciate that feedback on maybe to invite you all versus asking you to copy. I thought you'd be able to. Did anyone else have trouble copying the file? And I'm thinking now that maybe it might have something to do with having a Gmail address. Maybe if you weren't using a Gmail, it won't allow you to copy. I'm not sure, but I will be better on that next time if we do an interactive or an in-class worksheet. I wanted to have it not be a PDF because I wanted you to be able to edit it in class and not have to try to write it down and things. But this is what we have to do. Sometimes it doesn't quite work how we plan. Fortuna and I were in another meeting, and I sometimes it just doesn't work as planned. Okay, so let's move on then to maybe doing a little bit more of the which ones did you hear? Was anyone able to do that? Let's see. Fortuna, were you able to see or have the sheet and then also listen and see if you heard any of these phrases?
Yes, I think number 5 is more like asking for clarification. I thought, yeah, number 5.
Yeah, does everyone know? Asking for clarification. Now, that is good because you could go two ways with that if when you're using does everyone know? Or and I would say that you are correct though, asking for clarification. That might be a summer not you're not the one summarizing the discussion, but it might be a checking for agreement depending on where that question goes, since it's a dot dot dot. It might be that, but most likely more so asking for clarification. So good job. What other ones did you hear any that maybe were to inviting or asking for opinions? Did you pick
Number
any of those?
number 6 and number 15. Number 6, how do you feel about that? And number 15, what's your view on that?
Okay, good. So those are two that we would definitely use. Yep. Yep. What is your opinion on that? What did you hear? So now, what I would like, I know that everyone was not able to copy or have access to this worksheet. So after class today, I will make sure that I invite each of you to this document, and then hopefully you will be able then to make a copy. And I want everyone to finish this exercise because this is the heart of what some of the phrasing that we'll use to keep our meeting on track when we're asking for opinions and asking for clarification. And definitely toward the end here, where we're going to stick to the agenda. So ways that we basically move on. Like this one, number 19. You can see from the agenda the different issues that we need to look at. That might be something you could say at toward the end of one agenda item, like, well, we have a lot of other things to look at, so let's move on. So this is a very valuable exercise to get used to where these different phrases could be used in an actual meeting or way that you would speak about them. So I will make sure everyone gets an invitation. Check your emails and please complete this exercise. We will start our next class here before moving into interruptions. So our next class will focus on how we deal with interruptions when people are, if you're speaking or giving information, especially in those informative meetings, and someone butts in with a question. How do you handle that? What do you say? How do we do that in a respectful way? And so that's where we'll lead to next class, but we'll start here. All right. Okay, everyone. Well, good class today. Sorry that everyone didn't have access to the sheet. I apologize. I will get it to you all, and we'll talk about it next class. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Luke, any final words?
No.
Okay.
So everybody, please say thank you, and we will end this session.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Quentin.
Thank
Quentin.
you, Quentin.
Thank you.
See you next week. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.